Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Today, I've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's get into it. My name is Maxwell, and everything changed the moment my wife went out to dinner with my boss, even though I told her not to. That night, I packed my bags and disappeared. But let me walk you through how it all started. My wife, Chelsea, and I couldn't be more different in terms of personality. I'm naturally introverted, calm, and focused, while she's social, energetic, and always the center of attention. Before we got married, she had a solid corporate career, but she left that behind just before our wedding to start her own event planning business. And to give her credit, she was amazing at it. Her clients trusted her with everything: weddings, company events, charity galas, you name it. She could organize at perfection. Meanwhile, I worked in cybersecurity, mostly behind the scenes for various companies. Even with our differences, we worked well as a couple. Her people skills complemented my reserved nature, and we supported each other's ambitions. We had been together for 5 years and married for 2. Up until that point, everything felt solid, like nothing could shake us. Then things started to unravel. I had just accepted a new job after being recruited by a small but highly respected firm. The owner ran a tight ship, known for being tough, very hands-on, and not someone who tolerated mistakes. But he also appreciated skilled employees and treated them well. The salary was a step up, and the benefits were great. So I took the leap. I knew the expectations would be high, but I had full confidence in my abilities. I was ready for the challenge. I had no idea that taking that job would lead to the collapse of my marriage. Not long after I started the new job, my car started acting up. One afternoon, I dropped it off for maintenance and was told repairs would take longer than expected. So I called Chelsea and asked her to pick me up from work. She agreed immediately. When she arrived, I was still wrapping up some work, so she waited in my office. About half an hour later, my boss walked in. Normally, he's the kind of guy who's all business, rarely smiles, never makes small talk. But when he saw Chelsea, something in him changed. He was suddenly cheerful, almost charming. I introduced her as my wife, and he immediately started asking her about her work. He seemed genuinely interested in her event planning, even joked that maybe she should handle our company's events. We all laughed, and then he asked for her business card, saying he might need her services sometime. It seemed innocent, harmless even, but now looking back, I know that moment was the beginning of everything going wrong. As the weeks passed, I noticed little things, offhand remarks from my boss about how attractive my wife was, or how lucky I must be. At first, I brushed it off. It was awkward, but I figured it was just his strange sense of humor. Then one day, I lost my phone at home and needed to borrow Chelsea's to call it. As I was scrolling through her recent calls, something stood out. My boss's name kept popping up. He had been calling her multiple times during the week, mostly in the afternoons. That immediately raised red flags. Why would he be contacting her so often? I couldn't ignore my gut, so I opened their messages. What I found shook me. He had been flirting, sending her compliments, asking about her day, throwing in little jokes that were clearly meant to charm. Chelsea's replies didn't seem flirty, but they were warm, like she didn't mind the attention. Then I saw something more troubling. When his compliments didn't seem to get him far, he changed his tactic, offering to help her business, promising to send clients her way. It felt calculated, like he was trying to win her over through professional favors. Their messages revealed they had already met up for lunch. Then came the real blow. He started pushing for dinner. Chelsea told him no at first, saying I wouldn't be okay with that. I thought she was drawing a boundary, but he kept pressing, insisting that I wouldn't care. He even started making comments like, "Your husband's got his own secrets," suggesting I was hiding something or cheating. It was a clear attempt to plant doubt. Eventually, Chelsea started asking questions like, "What do you mean? What things?" That's when I realized she might be starting to believe him. Before I could read more, she caught me looking at her phone. From that point on, she was more guarded, always keeping her phone close. It took over a week before I got another chance. One weekend, she stepped away and left her phone unattended. I grabbed it quickly and went straight to the messages. What I found made my stomach turn. They weren't just chatting anymore. My boss had started sending her photos. Pictures taken in what looked like a hotel room, wearing nothing but his underwear. One photo even had the caption, "Wish you were here." I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I quietly forwarded the photos to my own phone and took screenshots of their conversations just in case I needed proof later. I didn't confront her right away. I want to be sure of my next step. That night, I barely slept. My mind raced through every possibility, every conversation we'd had, every sign I'd missed. Finally, the next evening, I asked Chelsea to sit down. She came into the living room, and I looked her straight in the eye. Chelsea blinked, pretending she didn't understand what I was saying. I told her I had read the messages, the conversations between her and my boss. There was no more room for pretending, no way to deny what had already been seen. I asked her to cut off all contact with him immediately. Her response was layered. At first, she looked stunned, like she hadn't expected me to confront her so directly. But that shock quickly shifted to defensiveness. She claimed there was nothing inappropriate about her conversations with him. She insisted she hadn't encouraged anything and was just being polite. Then she dropped the real bomb. She had plans to have dinner with him the following evening. According to her, it was strictly business. He was offering her an opportunity to organize a major event, and it was important for her career. I told her she should cancel. She pushed back hard, said I was being controlling, that I was overreacting. She argued the dinner was professional and my insecurities were the problem, not her behavior. She was clear. She wasn't canceling her plans just to ease my discomfort. I laid out plainly. If she chose to go, she shouldn't expect to come back to me. That was the line. No negotiation. Chelsea said nothing. She just walked off to bed. The next day, she acted like we were in the middle of some petty argument. The tension simmered all day, unspoken but heavy. That evening, she stood in front of the mirror, slipping into a tight black dress, the same one I'd complimented her on years ago. She turned to me, smoothed down the fabric, and asked, "Do I look good?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. After everything, after what we talked about, she was still going. She didn't wait for a response. She picked up her bag, gave herself one last look in the mirror, and walked out the front door, without a glance in my direction. The moment the door shut, I felt like I was suffocating. I sat there trying not to spiral, trying not to let my thoughts run wild. But an hour or two later, my phone buzzed. A message from my boss. "You couldn't even stop her from coming to spend the evening with me." I froze. That message said everything. He was mocking me, treating Chelsea like some trophy he had claimed, and me like the fool who couldn't protect what was his. It confirmed what I had suspected for a long time. He had been testing limits for months, and now he was flat out gloating. I couldn't stay in that house a second longer. It no longer felt like home. I grabbed a duffel bag and shoved in whatever I could grab. Some clothes, a charger, my laptop. I didn't care where I went. I just needed to go. I drove for nearly 2 hours. No music, no real direction. I ended up at my parents' place. It was around 1 a.m. when I knocked. My dad answered, puzzled. My mom appeared behind him. They didn't ask questions. I kept looking at my phone, expecting a call or message. Nothing came. I lay down on the old couch in the den, holding my phone to my chest, waiting for something, anything from her. I drifted off, hoping somehow she'd realize what she'd done. But the next morning came with silence. No messages, no calls. That's when I knew our marriage was over. I didn't feel rage anymore, just clarity. And I made a decision. I was going to disappear. Living abroad had always been a quiet dream of mine, something I never pursued because of Chelsea and the future we had talked about building. But now, with nothing holding me back, the path felt open. First, I logged into our joint savings account, the one we had built up to buy our future home, and transferred everything out. Then I accessed our investment accounts. It wasn't a huge fortune, but it was enough. I sold everything. Market conditions didn't matter anymore. I moved all the money into an international account I'd quietly opened in the past. I wasn't planning to return. That morning, I bought a one-way ticket to Mexico. Before I left, I had one last move to make. On the flight, as the plane taxied down the runway, I opened a folder I had compiled, screenshots of late-night chats, messages, and inappropriate photos my boss had sent to Chelsea. I attached the whole file to a message and sent it to our company group chat. I didn't write a single word. The screenshots were enough. Then I turned off my phone. When I landed and cleared customs, I turned it back on. The messages flooded in, dozens of them. Texts from Chelsea, my boss, coworkers. The whole thing had blown up. The first message I read was from my boss, or ex-boss now. He was panicked, trying to contain a situation already spiraling beyond his control. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sorrow watching unfold. Then came Chelsea's messages. At first, she was confused, asking why I wasn't answering. Then her tone shifted. She tried calling. She tried guilt, then apologies that somehow avoided actual accountability. I didn't respond. A full week passed before she finally sent the message that broke my silence. You were right. He played me. His wife found out, and he blocked me. There was no gig. Reading that didn't bring relief, just confirmation. The man she threw us away for had used her, then dumped her when the heat came down. I typed a short response. It hurts that I was right, but I wish you the best. That was all. In Mexico, I had nothing but time. I started freelancing online, using my cybersecurity background to build websites, fix vulnerabilities, and consult for small businesses. The money was enough, not corporate level, but steady. I worked when I wanted, took breaks when I needed, and found a rhythm that gave me actual peace. I still thought about Chelsea sometimes. It's hard not to. Years of life together don't vanish overnight. But once someone shows you how little they respect you, how easily they can betray you, you can't unsee that. And while they might expect forgiveness to make things easier for them, the truth is there's no going back after that kind of